Hey, Funkin' fans, this is a slightly different episode. You may have noticed a Sunday release date. We're getting ready to talk with Ryan Bokros, who is one of our Funkin' fans. He has been a supporter of the show for quite a while, and he is in Houston, and we're getting ready to talk to him about the devastation of Hurricane Harvey and what he's been doing to help out. And we want to let you guys know that you can donate. Obviously, if you go to American Red Cross, that's always appreciated. But if you want to donate directly to Ryan, he is really doing things to help out specific families down there. You can go to paypal.me/Bokros, or you can just donate to his PayPal at ryanbokros, which is RYANBOKROS @gmail.com. And he will make sure that those donations go to needy families. Really incredible, interesting. What he's going through and what they're going through down there is just unbelievable. So whatever you can do to help, we certainly appreciate it. You're awful quiet, Doug.
Well, I just, the information that he gives is just so amazing, so lifelike, and so real. You'll want to stay tuned to the entire episode as he explains exactly what everybody has gone through. But you hit it on the head, Strick. PayPal.me/Bokros. That is the way to go. And if you're going to donate, that's a great spot to do it. It will go right to the hands of the people that this is most affecting. He's a guy he's actually in the boat. He's doing the rescue stuff. I mean, this is incredible. Great story of support, love, man helping man. It just really an emotional interview. As I was listening to him, I keep thinking I could not imagine being in that situation. So let's listen to the interview again. Support through paypal.me/Bokros.
Funkin' fans, welcome back. Yes, it is Sunday. This is a special bonus episode, going to be a little different from most of our episodes. Doug is here, I'm here, and we also have Mr. Ryan Bokros, who is one of our Funkin' fans that we had the pleasure of meeting a couple months ago. He lives in Texas, right down near where Hurricane Harvey hit, and he has been ridiculously busy for the last week, basically saving the world. I mean, saving Houston, but he's saving people and doing just incredibly good work. And so this bonus episode is because we really want to talk about all of the great things that he's been doing and have Ryan let you guys know some things that you can do to help. So, hey, Ryan, welcome.
Hey guys, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Hey Ryan, let me just add before you even get into some of the story behind it. And Strickland was so nice in saying that you've saved the world, and I know that's not even that's totally not the direction you not that Strickland did anything wrong with that, but you feel like this is your responsibility. This is something that you're there and that you're doing, and that you don't even feel. I know from all the social presence that I've seen about you. You do what you need to do. Is that where we're heading?
Yeah. I mean, when we started seeing the waters come up and folks were trying to, as we say here in Texas and the coastal areas, hunker down and ride this thing out. We started to really see a need of folks who realized after a certain period of time that hunkering down was not a good idea. And so, starting as early as Sunday afternoon here on the north side of Houston, had a buddy send me a text and he's like, what are we going to do? Like, people are getting flooded in and they're unable to get out now. And, the forecasts were for more rain for the next 3 or 4 days.
Hey, Brian, when did the rain start? Now we're Sunday today. So this is Sunday, September 3rd. When did the rain start falling?
Here in Houston, I would say we started to get some rain on, golly, man, I apologize. I don't even hardly know what day it is if you wouldn't have reminded me. I think we started seeing rain here in Houston Friday night. I mean, we had a few just scattered showers, but the bands that started to come in as a result of the hurricane really started hitting Friday. Late afternoon and evening. So that's when the rain really started and just didn't stop from there.
And was it any different rain in that it was just torrential in its downpouring, or was it the amount of time that it rained for? Like I can't even imagine what you guys got. Like, was it like 40 inches, some crazy number of feet of rain?
Yeah, I haven't even honestly seen the numbers. I know in some parts of the coastal areas, they have said there was more than even 50 inches of rain. So, yeah, it was crazy. Fortunately for us up here, we're on the north side of Houston, and so we didn't get a lot of the heavy winds and all of that kind of stuff. You know, the hurricane actually hit a lot further south, Corpus Christi, Rockport area. And then it went inland for a bit, started moving up towards Houston, and then it actually went back out off the coast and regained steam, and then came back up through Houston and moved east. So that's what it was. And it was the same thing as, what Tropical Storm Allison did back many, many years ago. Was it just kind of sat because it got stuck between a couple of other, systems. And I'm no meteorologist, but it was basically there were two systems pushing against each other. So the storm just sat over Houston. Here, it kind of did the same thing. It just walked up along the coast, and it kept regaining steam because of the warm water from the Gulf. So that's really what the issue was, is just the amount of rain. Rockport and Corpus Christi got hit really hard with the hurricane force winds and all of that. But the rest of the coast was the rain from just the fact that it kind of just slowly crawled along the coast of Texas, that northern part of the coast.
My wife was trying to explain how Houston was basically a prairie at some point, and so very flat. I don't know the geography of Houston. So do you know how the lay of the land there, and why even though you got so much rain, why it just stayed there? Not the weather front stayed there, but why there was no drainage? Or is that pretty typical when you guys get some storms?
It is. I mean, this is 3 years in a row that we've had flooding, or at least 2 years in a row. Sorry, I think the Memorial Day flood was 3 years ago. Last year we had a lot of flooding just because of rain, which was known as the tax day floods. And then this year, here we are with the hurricane. A big part of the flooding area, it's just been, the development of the way and the layout of Houston. And of course, the natural layout hurts as well, because we've got a lot of lakes that surround Houston. Then, of course, there are a lot of man-made reservoirs and bayous that cut through town, and that were built as a by design to help keep the waters out of certain parts of town. Well, they weren't designed to hold 50 inches of rain over the course of just a few days. So, when they have to start letting water out of those reservoirs so that the levees don't break and essentially create a tidal wave across the city, that combined with the rain is just, it's catastrophic. I mean, we were in a certain part of town on, again, what day is it? I guess that was Wednesday. And we were traversing city streets, a little bit further outside of the city, but we were traversing streets, and the water was over the top of stop signs.
So you guys were you in boats at that? So you've been dealing, when you said Friday, I was thinking just a few days, but you've actually been dealing with this for, is it over a week? We have, yeah. The rain started last Friday. And we kind of sat out everything Saturday, and then Sunday is when just a few buddies of mine, I guess there were about 5 or 6 of us, just kind of started a text thread, and we're like, okay, we're done with the thoughts and prayers. Now it's time to, get off our asses and do some work. So share what so tell me what that looked like. Like, how did you so you get in your boat. So what are the first things that you're seeing now as you're out there looking and searching and trying to help?
Well, we went to a couple of different spots that we knew really were needed. At this point, there wasn't a lot of media coverage. Of course, there was some as far as, what areas of town are flooding. There wasn't a whole lot of infrastructure as far as communication of where are people. So we really just kind of started getting messages through social media. There were the creation of some rescue groups that were, what a grassroots created, right? These are just guys and people that just know where folks are stuck and stranded, and started posting in the groups and letting people know, hey, there's folks here. So a couple of buddies and I, we all have our 4x4 trucks little redneck action. We just started picking out places and driving some back roads, and we started to get frustrated because we were turned around by law enforcement quite a few times. They wouldn't let us through, even though we have trucks and boats and some of that. So we kind of just went around them in a lot of cases, and and found back roads and places that we could actually get the boats in the water. And then we got the boats in, and we just start pulling people out. Actually, so right around the corner.
Can you take? Sorry, Ryan, I don't mean to interrupt
okay.
you. I'm just trying to get a personal, like a personal feel for what does that rescue look like? Can you take me through just an example of a rescue that you had to make?
Yeah, I mean, there were a ton, honestly. I mean, it's everything from just regular folks or a couple that just wanted to get out of their apartment and had a couple of bags and toss them in the boat and just get them to the edge of the water.
So are they on their balcony, like they can't even get out of their apartment and they're just trying to get out? Is that
in certain places? Yeah, or some of the apartment complex are built up a little bit, so they're sitting basically on an island, and the only way out is boats, or they're in their second floor and the water is, maybe 2 feet up on the first floor, and they think that they're going to be okay, and then realize, we better get out of here before things get really bad and nobody can get to us and we run out of food and stuff like that. So, the one apartment complex that we hit closer down into town was actually in a mandatory evacuation area because they were worried about the levees of one of the reservoirs. So we actually had uniformed constables with us that were running through the apartments, telling people you're under mandatory evacuation. So that certain spot, we probably had about 10 boats sitting out in front of the apartment complex ready to grab people. And then from there, once we knew that the apartment complex was evacuated, we really just kind of kept going up and down the streets of the other neighborhoods surrounding it. And in one case, we were just about to leave the area. And this is how real it is. There's oil slicks on the water.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about the water. I keep hearing that the chemical issue with the water is causing so many secondary issues, not just the flooding. It's now burns and electric issue. There's a lot of stuff going on. There's
a lot. Yeah. You've got cars that are underwater. And so, the oil and the gas is starting to seep out of these vehicles. And, we were at the point where we started to hear from some of the other boaters that that law enforcement were, they're going to shut down the area because they don't want the boats driving up through all of the oil because, something could start that on fire. And then you've got city blocks of burning oil on top of the flooded water.
Right.
But, for some reason and maybe it was a God thing, but out of the corner of my eye, I thought I saw something as we were kind of trolling to get back out. So we turn around and sure enough, there's a guy waving his arms probably about 300 or 400 yards from the street that we were on, kind of at the back of an apartment complex. The way that the roads were, the main route was deep enough for us to be on with the boat, to have the motor down, but where they were was too shallow to have the motor down. So we kind of tied the boat up and walked about 300-400 yards to get to these folks. And sure enough, the guy was like, we've got a 7.5-month-old pregnant lady here, with high blood pressure, and she wasn't able to get her medication on Friday because the weather started rolling in. And, so here I am, I'm freaking out. I mean, I have a little bit of first aid knowledge and certification, and I've done some search and rescue training. And so, we didn't have any medical equipment with us or, an EMT or anything like that. So
right.
Kind of freaked me out a little bit. And you could tell that she was just exhausted. I checked her pulse. Her heart was obviously just racing. You could see it in her eyes that she was just kind of dazed. So I practically carried a 7.5-month-old pregnant lady about 300-400 yards to get to the boat. And, we were one of the last boats out of that area. And so if I wouldn't have seen that guy waving his hands from the corner of my eyes, who knows what would have
Does it just seem so overwhelming for not just people, but for the rescue effort? I mean, I'm looking at some of the photos, and Nice Guy Community, obviously just go to Google and you Google any of the images for the Houston flood, and you can see there's literally thousands and thousands of homes that are underwater, not just, I mean, to the roof. I mean, it's just these 2-story homes to the roof.
It is.
So
crazy.
The effort had got to be just exhausting and impossible, or seemingly impossible, for rescue people to deal with.
Yeah, well, Ryan, I'm curious, actually. You said you had about 10 boats outside of this apartment complex. So how many of those were volunteers and how many were, law enforcement or firefighters? I mean, was it really just mostly volunteers?
Yeah. Funny thing you say that. So I posted on my personal Facebook, somebody tagged me in a funny little picture. It said, Texas should erect a statue or some sort of a memorial in honor of, quote unquote, the average dude with a bass boat.
Yeah, I see it.
And I mean, literally that's 99% of what at least in the places that I was working and our crews were working in, that's what it was. It was your average dude with a bass boat. The one area that one specific area that we were working on, there were 3 sheriff's officers on jet skis. And so what happened was we ended up coordinating with them, and they became the scouts, because they, you can pull maybe one person out on a jet ski. So they're running their jet skis up and down the streets into parking lots of apartments and townhomes. And they're playing scout for us. So for the most part, our work with the authorities was really good. And in a lot of cases, they were absolutely willing to work side by side with us. But then there were other times where it got really frustrating and became a pissing contest between the police officers and the fire department, who's in charge of this scene, quote unquote. And those were the cases where we just went around them and found a back street and put our boat in the water.
Just curious, Ryan, was there a National Guard presence that you saw at any of the places that you went to? Is the National Guard in Houston right now? Do you know?
I don't know if they are still currently in, but yes, there were 2 locations that we were working in that the National Guard showed up. I didn't see any National Guard guys on boats. More so, they were on their high water vehicles. And so we actually, I want to say there was one location where we were dropping people off on dry land that they were being loaded into those trucks to get, taken to shelters. So, I mean, I'll just to give you guys, and this is in no way to brag, please, because I'm just one guy of thousands that were out there.
Sure.
But a group of guys, that started as, 6 of us with one little flat bottom John boat up here on the north side, by the end of the week turned into about 800 vessels and probably 2,000 men that dispatched through our command center. We pulled all of our resources together. We used a church here in the Woodlands to become the command center and the deployment center. And it was just the efforts of, again, your regular dude with a bass boat. I'm trying not to get choked up here, man, but just the sense of humanity, just these guys, leaving their own families behind, and being willing to put themselves out there to go help save other people.
It's got to be tremendous, Ryan.
Man, just amazing.
While you collect yourself just a little bit, so that you can tell us more about some of the details and some of the specifics. We talked to you before you started recording with us about how people can help and the best place for them to help, because I think the major concern with people oftentimes is, can they trust the source where they're putting the money? And let me say this, that the source that we're about to give you in order to support any relief effort is going completely to someone that we trust, we know, we love. Obviously, Ryan has been a friend of the and a FunkNfan in the community for a while now, and we know him and we love him to be that guy that the stories that he's sharing. So, Ryan, what's the best way that we can get support, help, money, well, I guess money in this particular case, what would be the best way to get that money to you so that you can make sure that you get the things, and talk about the things that you think that these folks want most out of the support effort here.
Yeah, I mean, thanks for offering that up. Through the course of the week, I've had a number of people reach out. My wife has had a number of people reach out. At one point, she created an Amazon wish list, and we have, I don't know, we probably have 15 boxes in our garage of stuff that people just sent us off of that wish list. But kind of now that things are drying up, we're getting very specific needs, and we know of families that they're getting stuck in the process of applying for aid and some of that kind of stuff. And so people have just sent us money personally because we have, we're eyes and boots on the ground right here. We know exactly what people need. And, through that money that people have sent to my PayPal, we've, through the course of the week, we kept the boats gassed up. We kept the trucks gassed up. Mm-hmm. We were able to buy waders for the men to go out into the water. And so now that kind of shifts to the kind of recovery and rebuild mode, I think what we're starting to see is, there are a lot of churches and a lot of good organizations that are using their networks to touch families, but there's a ton that aren't connected to some of those folks that need help. They're kind of falling through the cracks. And so we're doing two things. We're accepting funds directly through our PayPal, which is paypal.me/Bokros, Bokros. I'm sure you guys will put that in the show notes. But this morning, my wife and I were just sitting and thinking through this and trying to figure out how we can really help those who are falling through the cracks. So we purchased a domain name, and the domain is adoptaharveyfamily.com. Now, it might take us a couple of days to really get that site up and going. But what we intend on that site to be is a place for folks that know families here that are falling through the cracks and need have those specific needs. They can be submitted to the website. And then on the return, somebody could go in and adopt that family. So we intend on having a family submitted with a specific list of needs. And then when you adopt that family, you're basically committing to help with those needs, whether it's Lowe's gift cards, Home Depot gift cards, even just regular Visa and MasterCard gift cards, so that these people can start to get back to some sort of normal life. A lot of these folks they're eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches at a shelter. They might be able to get back into their house and start cleaning up. And so as that kind of starts happening, in order to help with the healing, these folks are going to want and really need to start experiencing their life in some normal way like it was before, right? So instead of taking the and I really hate to say it this way, but this is just real. I'm just going to be real with you guys. Instead of taking the cheap 99-cent, loaf of bread that's Kroger brand or whatever, part of the healing process will be for these folks to be able to go buy the brand of bread that they normally buy. To go into the clothing store and buy the type of underwear that they normally would wear, instead of just taking what they can from the shelter. And this is like
they've lost everything. You're talking about your house gets flooded to the attic. You keep moving stuff up. My wife and I were talking about this today. You move stuff upstairs, but what happens when your upstairs is gone because it's underwater? They've lost everything. Their stuff is in the lawn or underwater right now.
They have. And by me saying that, I don't mean in any way that these folks are ungrateful for the donations that have been flooding into the shelters. It's just as we talk to, my wife is a nutritionist and a holistic health coach, and she has a connection to a lot of, mental health professionals as well. And they've all been talking about the healing process, because this is a traumatic event, and a lot of folks are going to need to go through certain things that will help with the healing process. And for them to be able to have just a Visa gift card again, to go, and well, we don't really hold back much on the Nice Guys on Business show, but for the ladies to be able to go buy the type of bra that they normally wear instead of taking one that was sent to the shelter from, wherever. Yeah. Those are the types of things that are going to help people start to really heal through all of this and start to at least somewhat feel like there's some sort of normality to life coming back. There's still the devastation and everything else that they're going to have to go through.
Ryan, give the PayPal account again so people can have that one more time, and the website again.
Sure. It's paypal.me/Bokros, Bokros. And then the website is going to be adoptaharveyfamily.com.
Excellent. And Ryan, help me with just for a second, just get my head around the geography here, not from how easy it is to flood, but how big an area are we talking about? This isn't focused just on when we say Houston, Houston's big. I mean, is it all of Houston? Is it just neighborhoods in Houston? When it happened in New Orleans, it was widespread, but it was really specifically in one particular spot where there was some big issues. What is it like there?
Well, if you're looking at Texas on a map and you look at the Gulf Coast, you can go as far south as Corpus Christi and Rockport. If you follow the coast, literally all the way from that Corpus Christi area, all the way up through to the border of Texas and Louisiana, that entire area, and you go in from the coast, probably up to 100 miles, that entire swath. I mean, we still have guys. I'm still getting dispatched this morning for guys that are in Beaumont saving people in boats this morning. And Orange, which is just on this side of the border of Texas and Louisiana. So the need is just outstanding. It's way more than even I can wrap my head around. And I've been very actively involved in all of these rescue efforts and knowing the parts of town where we've sent guys in with boats that, homes were had water up to their roofs. So, I mean, we're talking millions of people affected by this. I mean, the city of Houston has 2.7 million just in the city. But if you consider the metro area of Houston, we've got 7.5 million people in the metro part of Houston. And that's not even including, Corpus Christi, Beaumont, and all of these small cities that don't have the infrastructure that Houston has. We've got guys holed up in the second floor of a super small little Baptist church out in on the outskirts of Beaumont right now. And, Beaumont's a decent sized city, but the little bitty cities out around Beaumont, Vidor, Orange, I can't even think of the names of some of the others right now, but, these are small cities of 1,000 people who don't have the infrastructure that we do here in Houston or the resources. And so, we're trying to get stuff out even to there. And we've got names of families and addresses coming in from Beaumont, which is a 2-hour drive from Houston. So the need isn't just here in Houston. It covers so much of Texas.
Yeah, and I'm just looking at the map of Texas, and I see, how about like the coast cities like of Galveston and others and Freeport, were they completely rocked by this, or did Houston get the majority of it because it's a very low lying town?
Yeah, because of the direction that the storm kind of took. I'm not going to say Galveston was spared by any means. They got plenty of flooding and stuff, especially on the west side of town. But they got spared from the catastrophe that it really could have been, or that was experienced down there when Hurricane Ike came through, however many years ago that was, 8 years ago, 9 years ago, now even more than that, I guess. But yeah, I mean, they because of the direction of the storm, thankfully, that, some of those areas were spared the catastrophe that could have been, but there's still plenty of flooding and plenty of need, in those areas down there as well.
And Ryan, help me put a little perspective on this in terms of work and when does normalcy return? I'm assuming that is power still off in everywhere that you're mentioning. How do you turn power back on in a flooded area? You can't. So I'm assuming the power is off.
Well, in most parts of Houston, we have power. In some of those super flooded areas, I'm sure the authorities have turned some of that off just to prevent fires and some of those things. But most of the Houston metro area has power now and has running water. But just because of the time frame now, most of the power and water issues are further east in that Beaumont area, north and northwest of Beaumont. I have a friend that lives in Beaumont, and she said that an entire part of the grid out there, affecting probably about 15,000 people or so, was down. And then certain parts of Beaumont were without running water because the pumps, I guess, got flooded out or shut down because of that power issue. So
a couple of things that I was hearing through, again, some news reports, and again, maybe you can confirm or tell me that this is bullshit, but I was hearing something about some of the gas stations were charging ridiculous amounts of money for people that are trying to get gas, even for small boats. Have you seen that, or is that something that's just not happening?
I've seen reports of it as well. Personally, I didn't experience any of it. There was a run on gas over the last couple of days. I had a buddy who was trying to get up to Dallas or get home from Dallas. I don't remember exactly what the specific case was. But yeah, he posted a copy of his receipt, and whatever gas station it was charged him $6.99 a gallon when gas is, normally less than $2.25 here.
Yeah,
so
maybe I don't understand it, or maybe they have to try to. I don't know. I'm trying to think of the rationale behind the company that does that.
I don't know either, to be honest with you. I mean, I'm sure that they're going to get a call from the Attorney General.
Yeah, I don't get that. And how about in terms of people returning to work? Are you seeing? Is there any business as usual, or I can't. I'm trying to wrap my head just around a city that's completely enveloped in devastation. At what point do people go back to work, or are they working now? What happens?
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on, the line of work and the location. Thankfully where we are on the north side of town, we were spared quite a bit in certain parts. And so, there's restaurants open. After a hellacious week, we had a friend throw us a gift card to Topgolf. And so the family and I, we got to have a nice evening of hitting some golf balls and having some food and drinks over at Topgolf, which actually the golf was free. So Topgolf opened up their facilities for the weekend, and they're letting anybody come in and play golf for free.
I can only imagine how challenging it is to do. I mean, you're in real estate. I mean, people are. How do you focus on? Hey, let me buy or sell. How help you? But you're not. That's not where your mindset is right now, I'm sure.
It's not. I mean, I've got people that are starting to come to me now. Whose houses they're not going to be able to get back in their house, so they're going to be looking for rentals. And so, we'll have a run on rental properties here in Houston for probably the next 90 days or so. FEMA's coming in, they'll put people in temporary housing and some of that kind of stuff. But, with some of these folks who were flooded last year during the tax day, I'm starting to hear now that people had just finished rehabbing their homes from the flood last year. I mean, 10 houses down, our streets, there were a couple of homes that had three feet of water in them. Our street slopes. And
how'd you guys fare in this year personally?
We're
any
fine
damage to your
personally.
personal residence?
Yeah, no, we're fine personally. But just 10 houses down, they had 3 feet of water. And one of our neighbors, literally probably 3 weeks, maybe a month ago, had just finished doing their dream remodel from the floods last year, and had 3 feet of water in their house.
Ryan, as an agent, maybe you shed some light on this. People don't have flood insurance because it's not required inland. Is that right, or how does that? Again, you're in real estate. You might know more about this than I do. Do you have flood insurance, or do people have flood insurance that are in Houston?
Yeah, even if you're in a flood zone and you're taking out a mortgage, you're required to have flood insurance. So that's a requirement from the mortgage company if you're in a flood zone. If you're not in a flood zone, typically I always recommend my clients to get flood insurance. I think, well, now we'll see what it is. But before all of this, if you were not in a designated flood zone, it was only like $410 a year to put flood insurance on your house. So, but those without flood insurance, of course, there's FEMA and there's some other disaster relief that will help with some of those costs. And then even in that, if you didn't have flood insurance, I do know that some folks have a rider or a provision in their regular homeowners insurance that will provide some relief for a named storm. So there's a couple of different ways that you can get relief when it comes to flooding based on the type of insurance that you have. But if you don't specifically have flood insurance, you're probably not going to recover as much as you would if you actually had flood insurance. So it's always been a recommendation of mine here in Houston to pay that $400 and some a year and get the coverage.
Strick, is there anything that I'm missing that you want to ask Ryan about?
No, it's just so crazy. I mean, I just can't even imagine. And especially, I think of Houston as such a, big metropolitan city, and the fact that you guys have been hit with two major hurricanes within a year and a half. I mean, it's just so crazy to think about. I can't even put my head there. I mean, I really think, Ryan, just if you can give your PayPal out again on the website, anybody that wants to donate, Ryan's setting up the website right now. But you can donate to his PayPal and he'll make sure that it gets to the right people. I mean, anything that anybody can do to help. I can't even imagine.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. Even just $10 will buy a pack of socks, a pack of good, regular, nice socks for some, for a kid. So yeah, I mean, every little bit really goes a long way, especially collectively. And that's what we've found is, we had guys putting money in my PayPal account, and I don't know, I probably fueled up 25 or 30 boats over the course of the week, and the trucks that are pulling these boats.
Ryan, give it one more time. Sorry.
Sure, it's paypal.me/BOKROS, paypal.me/BOKROS.
Awesome. Well, we will make sure that we continue to promote that through the course of the episodes as well. And Ryan, man, I know that you are the hero's hero to me. I know that's not why you came on the show today, but for me, I mean, even in the brief time that we got to spend together face to face, and then subsequent times that you've contributed to the show with your great personality, love having you on the show. So I thank you for giving us all this insider information for sure.
Thanks, guys. And if I can just say one last thing as well,
sure.
And this is a little emotional for me to say, and by no means am I claiming to have experienced what some of these guys have, but just emotionally, this week has wrecked me, and no other time. And again, not to downplay my feelings for our men and women that come back from battle ravaged areas. And dealing with the PTSD and the emotional stuff that they deal with. But, and again, I haven't experienced near what they have, but, this week has emotionally wrecked me, and I can completely sympathize and empathize with those men and women that come back from those areas. So, beyond helping out here with this whole thing, if anybody out there knows, one of these vets that have come back and have just kind of thought twice about their state of mind, I can completely sympathize. Some of the things that I've seen this week will affect me for the rest of my life. I'm sure. And so, if you don't donate towards the flood cause, I can understand that. But if you know a man or a woman that has served and come back from one of those areas that's just, you can't figure out, what their issue is or their state of mind and the depression and all of that, find one of those guys and give them a hug and give them an ear, because I know I'm I'm going to be dealing with this for a long time, and it's it's tough. it's tough. I haven't seen blood and guts, and I'm still affected in a pretty serious way from some of the things that I've seen. And
appreciate you saying that.
So,
Very. Can imagine the sensitivity that has to go into that as well. Hey, Ryan, I just wanted to mention also, because I'm on the PayPal account, and just in case anybody's having any trouble with donating the way that Ryan had given with using the paypal.me/Bokros, can we just donate to your email address if we already have an established PayPal account? Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. Why don't you give out your email address then also, because that's actually probably extremely easy for you to be. I'm sure it's easy the other way, and I'm just a technological idiot. But for the idiots that are out there like me that want to donate, can't figure it out, just give your email address.
I think that's been established on the show many times.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
Sure. Yeah. The email address that's connected to that PayPal account it's my name at gmail.com, ryanbokros@gmail.com, ryanbokros@gmail.com.
Okay, that's great. All right, just say that one more time for us. ryanbokros@gmail.
And we're going to put all of those notes into the show notes, all the links into the show notes. Ryan, man, I know the people down there obviously appreciate what you are doing for them. And, we can't even tell you how much we appreciate it too. I mean, really, it sounds like a great sense of community that anybody that is available to help has been helping. And we appreciate you talking to us about it. And we hope that this helps. And thank you for everything that you've been helping with.
Thanks, guys. And we've got a long road ahead of us. You pour gasoline on a pile of wood and you light it, you get that initial big explosion and high fire, but eventually it slows down to just a hot, slow burn forever. And that's kind of what we've experienced here, and it's going to burn for a long time. So, all the help that comes in right now is super necessary and is super appreciated. But don't forget to check in on people in Houston 3 months from now, because we'll still be reeling from this.
Yeah, we'll make sure that we update everybody that's in the Nice Guy community. Hopefully you'll be able to give us some updates in the upcoming weeks as well. And I know that it's just going to be double thumbs up that everybody is doing great, and that the relief effort is going great, and you're getting a complete inpouring of support from our community. That is what our hope is. We wouldn't beg for it. Yeah, hell, we beg for everything. So we're gonna do as good a job begging for this as possible, because this is the way to go. As we said, or as we will say, coming up in the upcoming weeks, we have other ways at which you can give also to support the hurricane victims as well. This is a invaluable resource from a guy that we know is tremendous in what he does out there in Houston. So thank you, Ryan, again for being a part of the show and being a part of the community. And let's let you have the rest of your Sunday to relax.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, we're still running a little bit of dispatch out there in Beaumont and Vidor. Like I said, I mean, we still have guys on the ground. So I'm thankfully I'm dry. I'm sitting in the AC. But still working a little bit, and thankful to have my family all together, and all of that. So, and thankful that you guys gave me this this avenue to help spread the word. I appreciate you guys more than you understand.
This has been definitely hope that it helps.
Yeah. This is a special edition, a bonus episode that we don't really want to call it a bonus, because it's not. It's so much more than bonus. So thank you everybody for tuning in. We'll get back to our regular programming tomorrow, but thank you so much for being a part of our show today.
For the Nice Guys on Business, I'm Steve O'Brien. Don't underestimate the power of nice. I just want to tell you all good luck. We're all counting on you.